In tonight's 7 Upfront report, we're taking a closer look at the needs of school districts in our state during the pandemic. Part of Governor Whitmer's proposed 2022 budget includes $14.7 billion for the school aid fund budget, a $203 million base for per pupil funding, $14.1 million for economically disadvantaged students, special education, and kids in rural districts. Supplemental appropriations for this year would include $125.7 million to help mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on students, $55 million for clean drinking water in facilities, and $125.7 million for Emergency Education Relief Fund. So joining me tonight is Dr. Randy Liappa, the Superintendent of Wayne Regional Educational Service Agencies, and we thank you for being here, Doctor.
Great to be here.
Your agency provides services and support for Wayne County's 33 school districts. What is the one thing school needs right now?
Well, really right now, what you see are schools starting to transition into some level of back to normal. It's been a remarkably difficult year for school districts. They've had to learn how to do virtual learning, face-to-face, hybrid learning. They've been adjusting curriculums, implementing new technologies, and putting in safety protocols all during this time in a very challenging and changing environment, literally on a weekly basis. And so what we see now are school districts that are really starting to look ahead. And we know that our students have struggled during this time. And so now they're starting to think about learning recovery. And that's the big thing that we're thinking about, both with the federal dollars that the state has that we're looking forward to them getting rid of and getting to us in the local school districts, and also next year's school budget.
Well, that lapse and transition has been tough, on students, on us as parents. Do you think kids need to extend the school year into the summer? I know some parents are concerned about the lack of learning during the pandemic.
Yeah, I think school districts are looking at a variety of different best practices right now in regards to what's the best way to do learning recovery. And so they're going to be looking at after-school programs. They may be looking at summer school programs. They're going to be looking at additional resources to get into the homes of students and every best practice that they can think of. So it's all of those things that they're looking at, not just are they going to have some additional school days this summer.
Mm-hmm. And teacher shortages too. Another problem for the districts. So what can be done to either fix that or help that problem?
Well, that's a significant issue. When you think about the federal dollars that are coming into schools, it's rather significant over the next year and a half. And so when school districts think about spending that, it's going to be very hard for them to hire a bunch of new staff because there aren't that many teachers out there, number one, to be hired. And number two, they don't want to have to hire them for 1 year and lay them off. And so I think they're going to be looking at their existing resources because of the teacher shortage and that particular challenge to make sure that they're really using the best practices that they can find to start this learning recovery with their students.
And the governor pushing for in-person learning. She wants that to return next month. Do you think all schools are ready to have students back in the classroom?
Well, the most recent survey that was done across the state of Michigan shows 97% of school districts now have some level of face-to-face instruction. And so what we see certainly in our county is that is the case. Many school districts have been in some regard, almost since the start of the school year. And the last handful of school districts are actually now starting to get in and will by March 1st, just about every one of our school districts be providing some level of face-to-face instruction. Make no mistake about it. Our teachers, our staff, our school districts want kids in school. It's just about, can they do it safe?
And I think parents feel the same way. Dr. Randy Liappa, we thank you so much for your insight and joining us tonight as we slowly transition back into normal life.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Dave.